John Abraham from me, Hrishi K, and everybody at Radio 1. I have to say, I feel I'm your good luck charm. Over the years, whenever I've done an interview on the eve of release, it's become a massive hit. Parmanu, you remember, that is just very recent example.
Absolutely, and I'm hoping this one happens too.
You know, espionage is such an intense genre. You either get it right or you don't. Yeah. And whatever little I've seen of the trailer and the snippets, this doesn't seem to be one of those jingoistic ones. This seems to actually celebrate the true espionage that happened during the India-Pakistan war for Bangladesh.
Yeah, Robbie's dad, was in the military intelligence. So I think this script took about 7 years. So you can imagine the amount of research and credibility that weighs the script down. So I believe we've not got it wrong there. We've got a film that's authentic, that's gripping, that'll hold the audience, and of course we'll wait for the first reactions and people see the climax and they walk out.
Lovely. Also, because Robbie's dad is a Fauji, there must have been a lot of stories picked up by word of mouth, and not just research that is one is picked up on Google or books.
Yeah, so Robbie's dad, so this is a story that emanated between Robbie and his father over a drink. So obviously these are some of the experiences his father has had, and my characters of Romeo, Akbar and Walter is an amalgamation coincidentally of 3 characters that have been put together. But the backdrop of the 71 war, the detailing that went into it, there is nothing even remotely that is away from fact. It's all factual.
I saw some interesting visuals of prosthetic makeup. Have you had to go through a fair amount of that during this particular part?
Yeah, I mean, I had to, and I think this is one of the most trying films in terms of just the whole get-up, because 18 different looks. I play a guy from the age of 26 to a guy till the age of 85. So it was difficult. The heat didn't help, and of course, but when you're in the zone of the character and you're trying to understand the character progression, this all helps you.
John, the fact that this is such an important aspect of history, we always watch these Hollywood films for Mossad's espionage, for the CIA's espionage. The fact that our homegrown RAW was made up of such stalwarts as R.N. Cow and the characters that you play. Just a little bit on that.
Yeah, in 71, I don't know whether this is trivia for your listeners, Rishi, but in 71, RAW was amongst the top 3 agencies, intelligence agencies in the world. So you can imagine how effective we were. So I think when you see the film, you realize how intelligent and smart, leave aside the plot is, but the characters are, and how quickly they kind of put things together. And that's come across very beautifully in this film.
So are these, you said so many different get-ups. So Romeo is you, Akbar is you, and Walter is you. All 3 of them are you.
Yeah, it's the same person.
What was the most interesting one amongst them to do?
Well, the general feedback that I get when people see the trailers is they love Romeo. Akbar was the most intense, but I really like Walter.
Is this the right phase in your career when this came across? I mean, if a film like this had perhaps come to you about 10 years ago, would you have had the emotional intelligence to play this part? Why an espionage film after so long in terms of Romeo, Akbar, Walter?
I guess if it came to me 10 years ago, I would probably be the only one who would be doing it, because I've done films like Kabul Express and No Smoking, and that's the space I belong to. So I'm happy that this film came to me at all. So like they say, better late than never.
Well said. Moni Roy is a classic beauty. I mean, she's done one retro film with Akshay called Gold, and here she is opposite you. She's a TV actress and looks fabulous on screen. Just your thoughts on her?
Oh, she's a fantastic girl. Her work rate is 100%. Never says no. Just works so hard. Very congenial. Very, very smart. Very cued on to what's happening. Understands her character. Asks questions. So everything and all the prerequisites that need to be there, she had.
You know, Jagu Dada is such a treasure stove of stories. The other day I met him. I wanted to talk to him about the film, but as usual, the conversation went elsewhere. And I asked him about you, and he said that your aunt Dolly used to let him into the cellars and all the party places when he used to try and hang out and get in stack. Is that true?
Well, so my aunt used to work in the Oberois, and according to her, the only man who never had any attitude, who used to be friends with everyone, was Jackie Shroff. So that's a lot of the baggage that I carry today. So when I meet him, there is that much more respect I have for him. And obviously, in turn, I give that love to his son, who I am deeply fond of.
Lovely. This again, the part, R.N. Cow, not much is known about him. How well has Jackie done, and your assessment of that character?
I want you to see the film, Hrishi, because Jackie's done a fantastic job. I don't even think he realizes how well he's done. He was just filling in some dub for the climax, so he told Robbie, I want to see the climax, and this was a month ago, unfinished. And then he asked Robbie to call me, and he, Jackie and his list of expletives and the way he took off, John, and then he just took off and he said, I cried, my John, my beta, you're like my son. I cried. I loved it. And he really said it from the bottom of his heart, because he's a very clean and honest man.
But then, it's so wonderful. Everybody says that about you too. I mean, here's Sikandar, who was just waxing eloquent, talking about the struggles that he's been through. And, he gets onto this set and you treat him like a brother. And I think that really bolsters the performance for an actor when he feels emotionally secure. So a bit about Sikku.
Sikandar is, I think he came in at a point of time where I think he was still young, a little brash, made his mistakes in terms of choices, etc. He's come back with the hunger that you need to possess. He's very clear that he's here for work. And he knows that I mean business too, and it's about work. So the minute he came in, because we're very regular and I'm a regular guy, we kind of gave him the space to do what he has to, and he experimented. And his Punjabi accent as a Pakistani ISI agent, which he insisted with Robbie that, listen, give me a chance, let me try this, has turned out so fantastic. I think Sikku is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries of this film.
You told me this during Parmanu, and you said, with Abhishek, you just had this wonderful gut instinct, and look at him now. He's gone on to direct the Zoya Factor and this and that. Did you ever see Samay, or was it just a connection with Robbie? Did you know him as an ad filmmaker? Anything?
I've not seen Samay. I've not seen any of Robbie's work. I just heard the script. I loved it. But the day I got on set, let me tell you, Robbie is the next big thing.
Wow, that's saying a lot coming from you.
And this is a guy who's worked with Shujit at the start of Shujit's career, who worked with Kabir in his first film. So I tell you, Robbie's the next big thing.
Wow. And given the background that you have with both Kabir as well as with Shujit, did you know of Robbie even at that time when Madras Cafe was happening, or Vicky was happening, or with Kabul Express?
No, not at all. It was just this narration. And he was very quiet. And Robbie and I are both very unspoken in terms of the way we feel. And we just hit it off. But
John, I feel you've worked very, very hard at this role, this part. You were talking about the kind of accents that Sikandar has to go through, or Jagu Dada has to introspect, internalize. What really were the mountains you climbed in Romeo, Akbar, Walter?
The characters, the Kashmiri accent, it wasn't easy because, you're really manicuring and pedicuring each line. You need to get the words right. You need to get the kurs right, not the khurs, So, you don't say ghar, you say gar. For example, wo mera ghar hai. You don't say wo mera ghar hai. So, just getting those little nuances right that are not overtly nuanced, otherwise it sounds caricaturish. So you just get the right balance, and balancing that out with the emotional graph of the character was hard. And over that, the prosthetics.
Must feel wonderful when all your directors talk about your intelligence and how you get it and this and that. All those days of being a media buyer, of dabbling in a bit of modeling, now producer, director. It's almost as though everything in your life is just leading up to these wonderful moments.
Yeah, I think, if I have to draw any parallels or coincidences, I think from the time I became a producer, there's been a quantum leap in my performances, because I'm getting and choosing to do the kind of films I really want to. So, if I'm not that I'm close to this man, but Amir had his fair share of bad films till he suddenly did a film called Dil Chahta and then Lagan, and things changed. And you would never remember Amir for a bad film. You'd only remember him for the good films. So I hope I go down, I have the same trajectory. I hope I have the same pressure. And the good thing about where I come from, which other actors, I guess, may have a problem with, and it's a fair problem they have, is I'm not afraid of failure. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid at all. So that's fantastic.
And I think also with a lot of people saying, your time has come, tera time aa gaya, and this and that, I don't think you're even bothered about that. I think you're just so busy working. You finish one film and you're just looking forward to the other one.
Yeah, I'm not bothered about mera time aa gaya hai, mera time gaya hai. Kuch nahi. Just do your work and move on. Yeah.
Also, it's such a treat working with an ensemble cast that includes somebody like Raghubir Yadav. Do you have any scenes with him, or you get to hang with him?
I had the scenes with him, and I was fortunate to have the scenes with him. And I just said it in an interview earlier. The guy's a legend. He's nothing short of... I don't even have words to describe his performance and his performances. I'm a fan. And I was tongue-tied on set with him when I did scenes with him. And two of the most powerful actors I've worked with in my career have been Seema Biswas and Raghubir Yadav. Seema in Water and Raghubir Yadav in this film, oh my God, he is something else. He's not even real. I get goosebumps when I talk about him. He's so good.
I remember you had come for the Autocar India Awards, which I was comparing for Hormaz, and myself and Renuka looked at each other and said, only John, despite having his fleet of bikes and cars, could say, I took an auto and came.
Yeah.
Did you manage to drive or ride anything in Romeo Akbar Alter? I mean, that's your passion.
No, nothing there.
Robbie didn't give this agent vehicles.
No. So I sat in a Willys Jeep, but I didn't drive. I didn't drive it at all. So that was unfortunate.
Also, what's happened, with Hollywood and with a lot of noir films is that agents are very stylized and, are made unnecessarily glamorous. I mean, no complaints against James Bond. We always love that genre. But do you feel that Indian agents were more subtle, more everyday common man-like and, less glamour?
But I wouldn't compare, but I'll just tell you that this film is so raw. It's so true. There is nothing... There's no icing, there's no glamour at all. It's a real character. And if you see in the promo, he just says, "Jo bhi ho jaye, mera ammi ka hamesha khayal rakhna." He just cares about his mother. That's it. It's a beautiful film. When you see it, you'll understand what I'm saying.
Wow. And are you more aware of history now? Because, there's so much been written about the India-Pakistan War of 71, how there was a genocide in Bangladesh and things like that. Does the film explore all of that, or is it just the spy's story?
I think I was aware about the history of this country to a large extent way before I even started modeling. It just took people time to realize that. But that's okay. I understand. I'm a marketing person too, so if I had to sell the body first, I sold the body first. It's fine.
So beautifully put. The fact that, these wonderful patriotic films are being made, whether it's a Razi, which Meghna did so well, or this one, or even Vicky's Josh, I think it's a wonderful trend. Don't you think so?
Yeah, I feel the sense of being Indian and Indianness is at its highest, and if you make a good film, people will lap it up.
What's Robbie's biggest strength, other than the fact that he was well researched? What is it that tells you in your gut that he's going to be a big thing?
He knows what he wants to make. The sense of surety and the clarity with which he does it is astounding. He knows exactly what he wants. He described a certain scene to me before we even started, and it turned out like that, if not better, after we shot the film.
Lovely. John, which are the places you filmed at? Where does the story take you through, Romeo Akbar Alter?
Primarily Srinagar, Gulmarg, so a lot of Kashmir, but also Junagadh and certain areas in Gujarat, because the ruler of Junagadh deflected to Pakistan, so that area was left in a time warp. So. And
they always say that nothing prepares you for Kashmir. So, stuff that you picked out of Kashmir, the paradise on earth.
Yeah, it was disturbing, it was moving, it was emotional. You're getting so much of information from all sides, you're trying to process it. It's like I say, when you make a statement on Kashmir, you better be well informed, otherwise don't make it.
And does it look into any solutions to the problem, or is it just a historical document, Romeo Akbar Walter?
It's just a historical document. You must see it.
Okay, John, last few questions before we wrap. We're trying to get people to do cardio. We're doing something called Run with Radio 1. Are you doing cardio? Do you manage to walk on the treadmill? If so, what is your routine?
Yeah, I do run on the treadmill because I can't run on the roads because of obvious reasons. So I do cardio 20 minutes after my workout.
Is that running or sprinting, or do you do short sprints or just leisurely?
Interval. So I do sprints and walk, about 6 cycles, 8 cycles.
And what is your advice to people who run or walk?
Well, I think it's great. I think just don't overdo it. Hydrate yourself, and it's probably the best form of exercise. So do it regularly. Be consistent.
Another thing we're trying to do is heal the world and protect the environment. Whether it's a cleanup of Warsaw Beach, or whether it's avoiding plastic. What is it that you do in your life, and what does the family do to protect the environment?
We don't use plastic. We try our best not to use plastic. We try and make sure we keep our environment clean, because it starts at a micro level. I make sure that even when you have a shower, you use a minimal amount of water, because people like standing in the shower for hours. So if it doesn't start from yourself, it's never going to happen. So you have to practice what you preach.
A travel destination that you went to and it just stunned you. You've been shooting at all these foreign locations. Anything interesting?
Nothing off late. But yeah, I want to go to Japan. I've never been there.
During cherry blossom season, you must.
I want to go there for actually the MotoGP, the motorcycle racing at the Twin Motegi circuit in Japan.
Other than riding, have you done any adventure sport? Have you done bungee jumping, paragliding? Where have you done it, and how much have you enjoyed that?
I've done it from Goa to Blackpool, everywhere. It's scary, but I had to jump off because I paid the money for it. So I jumped. But it's fun, yeah.
Who would be your BFF, your best friend forever, and why? That's my last question to you.
In the industry or generally? I think my best friend forever, I'd say my mom. She's fantastic, Just when you need to hear something consoling and something, mothers are always like magic.
Oh, beautiful. Other than Romeo Akbar Walter, is there a espionage character, a spy that you really, really loved and you've tripped over? And who would that spy be?
Not that I can recollect of in the recent past, but yeah, I'd like to kind of emulate someone in the KGB. Yeah, Vladimir Putin.
Tough man.
Tough man.
And loves his football like you.
Yeah. And loves animals.
Totally. John, we love you, and I can't wait to see Romeo Akbar Walter.
Thank you, Hrishi. Please watch it.